Hi all, welcome to the channel, welcome to the workshop. Today we're carrying on with the Mallard. We have issue 33 and today we're continuing on work on the main chassis. And one of the items we have today is one of the main driving wheels. So let's get into it, let's get building. Right, so here we are, issue 33 of the Mallard. And as you can see, we have a wheel and an axle and a few little accessory bits. And we are mainly concentrating on the wheel today. As you can see, pretty much all wheel. We are test fitting it, but obviously we will be removing it and we won't be mounting it just yet. And then we are going to do a little tiny bit of work with the chassis with this piece here. Now this is a piece from issue 8, and this is the chassis space that's going to go in the back there. So that's the last thing we're going to be doing, and by the time we're finished, we've got that, and we're going to have a wheel on an axle. We've got Britain's Railways today, and classic locomotives. Right, so these are the parts we have today. So we've got the wheel, the axle, we have a screw, a very small nut, a small piece of bar, and that is a threaded bar. And we have this little tiny bush, and we were supplied an Allen key as well. Now, this also came with issue 33. Later on in the series, they did replace the wheels and axles. Now, it was mainly for the running version of this. Now, as you know, I'm doing the static build, so it really doesn't matter which wheels and axles I am going to use, but just for prosperity, I will use the replacement wheel and axle that they supplied. And it's actually quite a shiny one compared to that one. And same with the wheel. There seems to be a slightly different weight to that one as well. So manufacturing differences maybe. So they're the wheels I'm going to use, and these ones I'm going to put to one side. Right, so the first thing I need to do is drill a hole in the back of this wheel. Now that should just be a recess for the head of the bolt that we have. However, the bolt that I have, apparently, is not a bolt at all, and that threaded bar should actually have a head on it. So I think what I'm going to do is probably place it in like that, and then I use a 2-part epoxy to hold that in place. And then that'll be enough to really secure that in place. And again, with this nut, we're meant to be drilling a larger hole in the front to take that, and that's how that would be secured in place. So because of that being broken, or potentially not even formed correctly, what I'm going to do, I'm not going to drill the hole out for that or for the back. I am just going to use a 2-part epoxy, glue that in place, and then this will be a case of assembling this. Now the way to assemble this, it will just be a case of putting that piece on top like so. But we are then told we're going to take that off and put that to one side. So that's what I would do had I been able to screw that in. But I'm going to do that off camera because I say gluing that in, use the epoxy that I've got, and it's going to be 5-10 minutes before that will be solid enough to do anything with. And because we're not actually doing anything else with that, I can leave that to one side and carry on with the next bit. So the next bit would be getting our axle and placing it in there. Now it is a square hole and square peg, and that's it, fits in there nicely. If you find it's not a bit of a tight fit, you can take a little bit off with a file, but that is fitting in there perfectly. We're going to take our screw, we're going to place that in the end, tighten that up, and we're going to use our Allen key for that. So that's one wheel mounted, as you can see that up. And then we are told to just do a test fit. Let's see how that goes in, if it goes in at all. Right, so that's not fitting in there at all, or maybe at a push it will. So we do need to open these holes up. We have just a file. I'll just check the other ones as well. So that's not really fitting easy in any of those. So we'll open those up with a round file. Right, so that's the bushes opened up, and as you can see, that sits in there and spins absolutely perfectly now. I've done the same for this one on this side, like so. So we can leave that to one side. And now we need to concentrate on our chassis spacer. Now, it does look symmetrical, so I don't believe there's a right or wrong way up on this. But we've got two small holes in the chassis frame here, and that's where these two tabs are going to end up sitting. It's going to sit in just like that. You can see like that. Now there are some upper and lower slots you can see there, and it's the upper slots we want to put it in, that then lines up all nicely like that. Just going to run some glue around that and hold that in place. Right, so that's now gluing in place. I've just put a clamp on there to hold it while that all sets up. But that is all there's to do in that stage. Thank you very much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, please remember to give me a big thumbs up. So that's the chassis moved on a little bit further. It's great that we now have one of the main driving wheels, and I have just put in a little bit of epoxy resin to hold that pin in place. That's going to take a few minutes to actually set off. I might need to put something on the back to stop that pin from falling through or sitting in the wrong position. But for now, I'm going to stick it just there on the chassis. If you want to see more how this progresses, or anything else that goes on in the workshop, such as the current state of the Aston Martin, if you've seen my previous video on that one, then do remember to hit that subscribe button and ding that bell, and then you'll be notified when I release new videos. Until next time, I'll see you around. Cheers!